Once upon a time, and they lived happily ever after. Many of us grew up hearing these phrases. We looked forward to listening to more stories every day. And you may have created your own stories yourself with pencils and crayons. Now you want to write a storybook that many children will enjoy reading, like the ones you enjoyed reading in your childhood. You have never done anything like this before. You have zero experience. I wrote my first storybook with zero experience, and I am about showing you what I have learned along the way. The key elements are the same for most storybooks. There is always a conflict, then tension, a climax, and a resolution. Let's take a look at a popular story, one I enjoyed reading in my childhood. Cinderella was a beautiful girl with a loving dad. Dad married a woman with two daughters. Then dad died, leaving Cinderella with a conflict of problems. Cinderella is now stuck with a wicked stepmother and two stepsisters. Beginning of a tension, she was made to do all the work in the house. Then the prince had a party, invited all the girls, but Cinderella couldn't go. She cried, and suddenly help came. The tension reached a climax. Then she went to the party. She left the party in a hurry, leading to the start of a resolution because the prince came looking for her, ending her sorrow, and they lived happily ever after. Problem solved. Now let's use this story to write your own story. What do you need? Number one, choose a theme or an idea. Select a central theme, the idea or message that your story will revolve around. This will give your story a clear focus. Like the Cinderella story was based on kindness, that kindness will be rewarded, bullies will not succeed for a long time. So, what is your own message? Number two, create characters. Most children's books have characters in them. Develop interesting and relatable characters for your story. Give them distinct personalities, motivations, and background. Cinderella is relatable. Many children have been treated badly and they know how it feels when that happens. They are also happy when bullies are stopped. Establish a setting. Set the stage by describing where and when your story takes place. The setting adds depth and context to your narrative. Cinderella was set in 17th century France. People were familiar with cinders or ash that forms after heating up their homes. Thus, you could have a Cinderella. Develop a plot. Outline the sequence of events that make up your story's plot. Include an introduction, rising climax, action, falling action, and resolution. In Cinderella, there was a wicked stepmother with two ugly stepsisters, and they did not like Cinderella. They got an invitation from the prince and won't let Cinderella go. You can start with sketches of different scenes in your story, introducing different characters as you create tension, climaxing in your resolution. Number five, introduce a conflict. Introduce a problem or a conflict that your characters must face. This conflict drives the plot forward and keeps readers engaged. Do this early in your story. Your readers should be clear on what the conflict is earlier on in the story. Build tension. As the story progresses, increase the tension by raising the stakes for your characters. This helps keep the readers invested in the outcome. Cinderella worked so hard to get her sisters ready for the party. She pleaded that she wants to go. She cried, then she gave up. Someone appeared to her, offering her help and providing what was needed for her to go to the party. Number seven, create rising action. Show how your characters respond to the conflicts and the obstacles that they encounter. This builds anticipation as the story unfolds. Cinderella got clear instructions to be back before midnight. She forgot, and suddenly she heard the clock ringing. She hurried to go home, running and leaving her shoe behind. Create your own tension by creating obstacles like your character getting stuck in a jungle but need to arrive at a destination at a certain time. Then a hero came to the rescue to get your character out of danger. I am sure you know how to rescue your character. Number 8, reach a climax. The climax is the turning point of your story where the conflict reaches its peak. It's the most intense and crucial point. The climax came for Cinderella when she tried the shoes and it fits, and she even had the other pair. Number 9, provide a resolution. Show how the conflict is resolved and the outcome for your characters. This brings closure to the story and answers lingering questions. The prince was happy. She married Cinderella. How will your character solve the problem in your story? Number 10, develop a conclusion. End your story with a satisfying conclusion that ties up loose ends and provides a sense of closure for your readers. And they lived happily ever after. Children love happy endings. Let it end that way. And if it will not end that way, explain why it cannot be a happy ending. Edit and revise. Review your story for grammar, for punctuation, clarity, and consistency, making sure your writing flows smoothly and effectively. Number 12, seek feedback. Share your story with others and gather feedback. This can help you identify key areas for improvement and make necessary changes. Then finalize your story, putting in all the things you got from your feedback to make your final revisions, ensuring that your story is polished and ready for sharing. Consider pacing things, balance action scenes with moments of reflection or character development. Pacing keeps the story engaging and avoids monotony. Show, don't tell. Use descriptive language and sensory details to show emotions, settings, and actions. This immerses the readers in the story. Your readers become a part of your story. Edit dialogue. Craft authentic and meaningful dialogue that reveals character traits and advances the plot naturally. And what can help you do all of this? There are a lot of things. Expose yourself to a variety of genres and styles. Reading widely and inspire your own storytelling techniques. Remember that storytelling is a creative process, so allow yourself to experiment and let your imagination run wild. Don't be discouraged by the initial drafts. The beauty of a story often emerges during the revision process. We can't wait to read your own story.